Good afternoon, Neil.
Good afternoon, Gary. It's a gorgeous day, isn't it?
It is. It is really nice out there.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking forward to today's session where we're going to talk about the origins and the recipe, if you like, for our music gatherings.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit like the first Marvel story for superhero, isn't it? I think really people are really interested in the origins of the origin story of where Spider-Man came from, or Superman, or whoever. And I think that's very much how we see ourselves. That could be
Yeah,
modest. Yeah, as
it
as
will be
super.
a bit of a box office hit,
It
probably
will
with
be.
lots of sequels.
It
As
is.
you see, I'm wearing my prisoner's outfit again today because it went down so well in our earlier session. And I
Yeah,
might make
that.
this a regular fixture. Uh, what do you
Well,
think?
it would be if you're locked up in Parkhurst or Strangeways, it would be a regular fixture as well, I imagine.
I
But
imagine.
yeah,
I'm
it's
not really a
good.
prisoner. I'm not really an escape prisoner.
No,
Just for the viewers, I don't want a knock on the door or anything. Though I am wearing a bit of a disguise with the hat.
yeah,
Uh,
and you're tagged as well, so you know you
yeah,
they keep the track on you.
I'm
It's
fine.
fine.
I'm safe.
Good.
Yeah. So our music listening group, affectionately known as Vinyl Club, that opened its doors way back in 2015, didn't it? We've had about nearly 60 sessions since.
Yeah, it appears timeless, really. I mean, when you say it's nearly 10 years, it hasn't really seemed like that at all,
No,
has it? And yeah, I think it's quite an achievement to have carried anything on. I mean, how many people carry a hobby on for more than probably about 3 weeks? Maybe that's just me, but for 9 years, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Been a load of fun.
yeah, and we've finally got round to launching the companion podcast, haven't we? I mean, after much
Yeah.
discussion,
Yeah, and a lot of requests. A lot of requests.
a
People
lot of
stop me in the
requests.
street and say, "When are you going to start that podcast?" And I said, "What? Who are you, first of all?" And then, what podcast? And but here we are. Here we are. Yeah, and I say our hope is to make it slightly more polished for every single episode. So
Yeah,
by the time we get to our 60th or whenever it may well be in 9, 10 years, we'll be media professionals. Yeah, we're so slick.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's crack on then. So going back to the origins, prior to our first meeting in 2015, what do you recall the events to be leading up to that first meeting?
You see, you've got to be careful here because as a trained historian, I'm very well aware of how the past is contested, and there are multiple interpretations emerge, particularly many years after the event. So I know that we're about to go somewhere that could be quite controversial, and I don't want to add fuel to that particular fire. But as I remember it, and it's only personal opinion, that a few of us had a dinner party, chatting away, and that our respective partners had a book club. Officially, whether they read books, we don't know. Um, and I think whether it's myself, you, and Paul, thought that, well, why don't we're all into music? Why don't we have a record club, a vinyl club, something like this as well? Now, I have to say, because I know who'll be watching this, or hopefully watching it, is that my wife is taking a lot of credit for this. When we've discussed this subsequently, it's all her idea. Now, for the sake of diplomacy, yeah, I'm not going to contest that as an idea, but I know that there was a number of people who thought that this would be a very good thing to do. But equally, I know that you've got, other people involved in Vinyl Club who claim credit for it as well.
Yeah, I mean that credit can come from many places. Yeah, quite almost mythical beginnings, aren't they? Really. Um,
Yeah.
but we, as you say, we don't want to cause any rifts between us. So let's just move on from there. So we had this idea about a vinyl club of some sort, which on the face of it doesn't sound particularly original, doesn't it? But I think we had a fairly clear purpose to this. We didn't want to replicate a book club by saying, listen to this record and we'll come, have a little chat about it together. It was never going to be anything like that, was it?
No, it wasn't. I think the other thing I would say is that, and I'm sure there are some book clubs where they do actually talk about the book. my experience from being sat upstairs when they're taking place at my house is the book is the last thing they're talking about. You know, it's the latest things on telly, or I don't know, whatever it may well be. But we, you know, we're purists and we're sticklers for rules. So we were going to, yeah, listen to the records. And I think one of the things that has helped us is, I know, Gary, you like your systems and you like your rules that underpin those systems. And that's helped us, I think, you know, really right from the
Absolutely.
start.
Absolutely. I think that's probably why it's been such a success, because we had quite, if you like, a narrow focus and purpose from day one. We were there to not only broaden each other's musical tastes and, you know, hear some of the stories behind the music, but we wanted to listen to the music quite consciously and intentionally, rather than just have it all in the background. And we also wanted to kind of get to know ourselves better because of this. It was almost like an enabler to know each other the more, don't you think?
I'd agree with all of that. And I think we do listen with a high degree of reverence and courtesy for what we're listening to, that people aren't asking, well, who's this by, you know, blah, 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 giving some comment about it as it's playing. We do sit and we sit in silence. And then we only talk about it afterwards. I think that's really important because we have to listen to the music, isn't it, as well?
Absolutely.
And and I think the friendship bit is an interesting angle to this, because I think when we started, you were the common denominator. You knew various people that brought people together, and I think for us, I think it was something. You know, when I went along, and probably when it's for Paul as well, joined. It was as much about listening to the music. But actually, the wonderful thing about this is that we've all, I think, become really good friends, actually, and really been there for each other over the course of 9 years. And I remember, you know, I mean, we weren't originally doing this during COVID, but certainly during COVID, it was great to know that I think pretty much every week we could just do this by Zoom, use a Spotify playlist, play something, and still silently, and talk about it. And we've all, you know, as sort of middle-aged men, we've all been through stuff. And I've really appreciated people being there to support me when I've needed it, and felt really important that I help others when they're, you know, not going through a great time as well. So for me, that's been a wonderful spin-off of this club, actually developing a really new friendship group. I was going to say, do you remember what you took for the very first one? Because I know I was very anxious
Yeah,
about
I was just
yours.
going to talk about that first meeting. I think it was October 2015, and then there were perhaps only five of us at the original. But I think I took a track off Boomania by Betty Boo. If you remember Betty Boo, it's probably
Yeah.
released about 1990. Quite a quirky pop track genre, I really like. If quirky pop is a genre,
Oh,
yeah, she's actually quite influential in kind of mixing that hip hop and pop. What was my other track? It would have been a track off Highland Hard Rain by Aztec Camera,
yeah.
which
Yeah,
was,
great album.
yeah, a real landmark in kind of
Yeah.
80s kind of
Do you remember which
80s.
track was it? Oblivious. I can't remember what you
I
took.
think it would have been, yeah. I mean, that's
Mm,
obviously the one everybody knows. It was probably
yeah.
Oblivious. Yeah. Yeah. What did you pick? Do you remember?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I do remember. I took, and I was anxious about it because I was very aware that I was meeting people I didn't know before, and you know, your record collection, your record taste is hugely personal, I think. So I was a bit worried that I might get judged as having poor taste if I took the wrong things. So I was a bit worried about that. I've ceased to worry about people thinking that, 'cause they probably think I have anyway. But I took, yeah, a track off the Talk Talk album, Spirit of Eden, which is, you know, it's a stunning album. You know, one of my favorite ever's. Um, I think it was Rainbow. I think that was the first track on the album, and I took a single by Squeeze, Last Time Forever, but I played the B side, which was Love's Crashing Waves, which was played live. Although it's a different Tilbrook song, it was played by Squeeze. It's a great song. And that was one I was a bit disappointed in the reaction to, actually, because I thought, this is brilliant. Everyone's got to like this. You know, it's quite catchy, great Jules Holland piano thing on it. It's a, you know, brilliant song. Um, and yeah, the room went silent, and the sort of driftwood just slowly go by as people wondered what to say. without being too rude. But anyway, I bypass that. And the surprising winner, I think, of all the ones I did is this one. And I've always loved this since it came out in, I think, my eyes are terrible now, but about 1987, 80, no, maybe 88, 89. Keeping the Dream Alive by Fry High. It's marketed as a Christmas single. There is somebody putting a bauble on a Christmas tree on the back, but it isn't really a Christmas song. Now, I don't really know much about Fry High. I think they're a German rock band, but this is a wonderful ELO McCartney pastiche, and I absolutely love it as a song. And that's the one people thought, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. And coincidentally, the other week, I was in this record shop in Altrincham, and I saw the album that this was taken off. I've never come across it ever before. I didn't buy it because I wasn't quite sure how good it would be. But it's a brilliant single. Yeah, and it's the one that I really love to play, and particularly at Christmas, because it does have a bit of a wintry, communal feel to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there was a bit of an incident at that first meeting. I like to call it Queengate, which might be worth talking about for a minute, because that set the tone a little bit for sessions following that.
Yeah, I do think we need to go there, and in the spirit of transparency and honesty, you know, we don't want anyone accuse us of brushing anything under the carpet about what was said or done at Vinyl Club. And I'll be honest that not many of us came out very well from this, because somebody brought a track by Queen, which is obviously very personal to them, and we're, you know, embarrassed to say this. I think it would be honest to say we probably destroyed it. Queen, you know, I think we're all listening to it and thinking, oh my God, I hate Queen. I can't say this, but then I can't remember who it was. I don't know, blame somebody else for starting this. And then we all thought, great, now we can just lay into Queen a little bit. And that was not very nice. I don't think really. I don't like Queen, but this wasn't in the spirit of what we want to do with Vinyl Club as well. But we've learned, we've grown, we're better people.
Yeah, it never happened again.
That doesn't describe who we are. Yeah, it never happened again. Never happened again.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. But yeah, that was a slightly unsavoury aspect of the first meeting. It's all learning, isn't it? We're all learning.
Absolutely. And I guess what we'll talk about now is we've already said that Vinyl Club is quite structured in the way it runs. And if it wasn't this way, it probably wouldn't work as well as it does. So what we can do now is perhaps go through some of those like ingredients that make it run like it does. And I think what's quite central to it is the theme of the night. So for every night we have a theme, don't we?
Yeah, and that does give it a focus. Otherwise, and I think maybe if we hadn't had that, people would have drifted away, because I thought, well, I can play a record or song anytime, actually. But it's been really enjoyable discovering new genres of music, new artists, particularly when you think, well, I haven't got anything on, say, Brazilian music, or, you know, then I've got to go and buy something and try something different. And they've worked really well. Everyone stayed very faithful to it. Sometimes we want a little bit of clarification over what we mean by the name of a theme. But yeah, I think that's one of the really interesting aspects of the evening, actually.
Yeah, and we agree that theme well in advance, don't we? So there's a period of time, which I actually enjoy just as much as the evening, where you're on the hunt for your tracks that kind of fit into that theme.
Yeah, I liked it when you used to spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel, yeah. It was more of a swipe of my phone, wasn't it? Actually, I think we found a website which listed pretty much every genre going, and we carried on that quite well. But I think one evening I kept swiping it, kept landing on something called adult contemporary. I don't know if you remember, and we just what is adult contemporary? I don't think we'd ever want to go there.
No. I was about to say that as a teenage lad, I probably had a fair share of adult contemporary records, but that might be misconstrued. But yeah, we chose not to do that, and we sadly dropped the wheel. Maybe we should come back to it at some point. I know we've got a year's worth of themes already lined up, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
So yeah, it'd be good. So
what was your favourite? Do you remember what your favourite theme was? What we've had so far?
I really like the I'd say the ones that I've proved challenging are the ones sometimes that I enjoyed the most, where I find it harder to find something that's good and different that everybody isn't going to bring as well. So when we have done, you know, the African theme, which obviously is pretty all encompassing, you know, it's huge, and also to generalize about what African music is, that's been, you know, great for me because it's forced me to go away and look at something different as well. I found him brilliant, which was actually a Portuguese artist who sort of took this form of Angola music as well and creates a new form of dance music, you know, around Lisbon as well. And whilst I wouldn't say I've become an aficionado and I go to those clubs every night, I think it's a really good album that I've got, and it forced me to listen to something different. What was your favourite?
Well, I think it was what you mentioned earlier. The Brazil night was really enjoyable. I was just astonished to kind of hear so many genres that had come out of Brazil. And it, as you say, it kind of forces you to explore an area that you really probably wouldn't have done. Yeah, it was almost a carnival atmosphere, if you like, on that evening. It was a really good evening, but there's been so many, and we'll hopefully go through some of those over time as we kind of discuss.
Yeah, but I wouldn't normally associate a basement in a Victorian house in the middle of Urmston with carnival, but maybe that's just me, and maybe we need to revisit our interpretation of what it is. I think some of the sadder ones are things like disco, which it probably doesn't sit easily with you know, a group of middle-aged men who probably would only go on the dance floor if, say, our family were taken hostage or something, or, you know, at gunpoint. But you know, that was a better evening than I thought it would be. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So our extensive budget has allowed us to come outside with our large recording mobile team. That's Gary on the other side of the road, avoiding imminent death. Because what we want to do is to highlight local record stores. What we may always make a big effort to do is to shop at independent record stores. They find it really hard at the moment to survive. And so we thought it would be really nice if we could spend a moment or two each time just highlighting some of those stores that we love to shop at. And here we are on Urmston High Street with the first one, a legendary Dave's Music for the Soul Records, which many of those who live in Urmston shop at regularly and eulogize about frequently. So, join me, we're just going to go in.
Now we're inside Music for the Soul in Urmston. Let's have a look round. As you can see, there's a great selection within this shop, so I encourage you to get down to Music for the Soul, Urmston. Yeah, so that's the theme. Once we've chosen the theme, we choose two tracks that reflect basically our interpretation of that theme. But another thing that's central to our group is the media on which we play. And we settled on that from day one. And I guess the clue's in the name, Vinyl Club. So we're always going to play vinyl, and you know, that means so much to everybody. I mean, what does vinyl kind of mean to you, Neil? Would you say?
Well, I mean, firstly, it's the original format that I purchased music in. So I think probably for all of us, certainly for me, there's a throwback to our childhood as well. So I if I wanted something, I would buy it on vinyl, and I can remember pretty much when and where I bought most, if not all, of my records and what was happening in my life at that time. So I'm, you know, quite a nostalgic person. So that's been really nice actually to revisit where I was when I bought that. And I think it's more than that though. I think there's something that's very tactile about vinyl, just holding something that's big and delicate. With a CD, obviously, we probably remember the Tomorrow's World in 1970, when Judith Hand put the CD on. I said, look, you can put everything on this: jam, honey, dirt, nuclear weapon, whatever it may well be, and it will still play, and it will still play, and it will still play. But music is something very special to us and quite precious. So actually, if your format is, your medium is quite precious and special, I suppose it forces you to treat it with a bit more care than maybe you would otherwise. Maybe that's just a load of reverential nonsense. And then also the packaging as well. We all love a really good gatefold sleeve. Yeah, we all really love it. There's 2 records in it, but as a kid, I probably bought more than my fair share of Yes albums, and part of the wonder of that was the gatefold sleeve. You've got the great design on the front by Brian Dean. Brian Dean was Sheffield United striker, Roger Dean, and the big great artwork in the middle of it. You felt you had something special. Not quite a book, but obviously that's what they were, I suppose, trying to make you think a little bit as well. And it wouldn't be the same if we delved down to tapes or CDs or anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I love the tactile nature of vinyl, the taking it out of the sleeve and then trying to drop the stylus on the right track and then kind of wrestling it back into the sleeve. It's all, that quite a satisfying experience, and probably quite an achievement for me to do it properly, given my, eyesight and hands on the unit. It's quite a challenge, and that's part of the beauty of vinyl, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think particularly putting the needle in the right place. I think we know that as long as you've got it within 2 tracks of our chosen track, we're pretty happy with that. We'll just let that go. So. We haven't been saying that at all.
Yeah. I've come up with a solution for that. We keep making things better, Neil. Next time round.
Okay.
Those days are gone.
I look forward to seeing that.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. I guess I don't want to say anything too contentious, Neil, or spark a rift between us in front of millions of viewers. But I guess having the physical media is the most important thing to me. But I don't think personally I would want to ever exclude other types of physical media from making an appearance. And I know this has been a contentious issue for some time. And obviously, if we did go down the route, there'd be a massive rebranding exercise to go from Vinyl Club to Music Club. We'd have to change all the logos and the T-shirts and everything. But I guess I think there's an option possibly to venture into that. What do you think?
I think this is a clause 4 moment, isn't it? I think really it's those who looking at the philosophy and origins of the organisation versus those who will have no principles whatsoever. I wouldn't be for it. I'd say that it's a vinyl club. The format is central to it. I know there've been attempts to create splinter groups and we really, as Lenin said, need to avoid all factions. But no, I wouldn't go down the route of CD. I might countenance a one night only cassette evening, only because they are fewer and far between than the CD, which is just ubiquitous. And I think that probably when, again, just speaking for myself, maybe I only bought cassettes at certain stages in my life, so it reflects sort of what's happening at that point as well. So no, keep it. It's got to be vinyl. Got to be vinyl.
Yeah. Well, this conversation might run on, which is the beauty of Vinyl Club, and we can always have this conversation and revisit. But I can see that your shelves are starting to strain in the background, Neil. So
they are straining.
It's only a matter of time before we have to go down the CD route.
I
guess where we buy the vinyl is also really important, or should I say where we buy the media. I'm a big fan of Bandcamp, and I'm a big fan of local record stores as well. And I think if we can, we're going to be promoting those record stores during this channel, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to do, that local businesses find it hard enough facing competition from big chains, and a time where people don't have a load of money or spare money to spend. Anything that can promote those is a good thing, really. And we want to see more record shops spring up, and we know that people opening a record shop are taking a massive risk. So let's support it. And quite often they have a more interesting array of records than you're going to find at HMV or somewhere else as well. So anything we can do to help them would be a really good thing.
Yeah, and they're all quite unique, aren't they? They've always got something different. Whether that, I don't know, whether they also sell tortoises with the vinyl, which I have seen, or whether they've
Yeah.
got some kind of obscure releases that you're never going to find on the internet. They've all got something different to offer, and hopefully we'll kind of bring that out during our
Yeah, and they all seem to be more particular characters, different sort of characters as well.
Yeah.
So I always think
Yeah.
that's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, and the
You
people
go
who go
in
in the
there and
shop. Yeah,
have a chat to the person. Yeah,
yeah,
very
absolutely.
much so. Very much so. Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So is it worth talking about the people? I mean, we've touched on it before about how we brought this group of people through, but and I guess we're also men of a certain age, but we've almost built up a good amount of trust over the years. So we can take what we like, play what we like. We can declare ourselves Taylor Swift's biggest fan. We can do what we like, can't we, in those sessions now?
Yeah, and that's lovely, isn't it? I mean, people feel free to express an opinion about something they do or don't like, because we know that there are some artists who are regarded as being sacrosanct that everybody must like, but maybe not necessarily within that room. We might come to that at some point in the future. But I think that's a really lovely part of it, and that we feel we can bring what we want and say what we want, and people I think, given the experience from the early days, I think people are very mindful and very respectful of people's taste and choices.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely.
And it's a great group of people, as you said before. New people joined, and as we've gone along, very strict entry criteria. But it's a great group. It's a great group of people, definitely.
And there's 8 of us at the moment, and that feels probably about the right number, because any more, and we'd be going beyond midnight, and we get into the age now where that's well, I certainly struggle to go beyond midnight. I think 8 is a good number, and it depends on the space you've got as well. But there's no magic formula for that chemistry, but it feels about the right number, so we can have the conversations about the tracks and anything else we fancy.
Yeah, it's a really nice dynamic, isn't it? Between all the people, who are all different, but all find a way to get on as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's magically somehow happened as well, which is tremendous, really, Gary. And you play a massive part in organising it and bringing it all together.
And that's
a big part.
I guess that's the next ingredient, is at the location where we hold the sessions, and we've pretty much had every one of them in my cellar, which is a unique environment, isn't it, for listening to music?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what went on in your cellar before, Gary, is very different. They're very different as well. But I'm glad it's been put to good use now. And it is, when you describe it to someone, we meet some bloke's cellar in Urmston every couple of months with some records. It's a part of the conversation where you lose people, isn't it? But the cellar's part of it. There is it creates a degree of intimacy, probably because there's very little light in there. But it works really well. You've got a fantastic sound system. And we all just love hearing all our records sound on a really, really decent setup.
Yeah, and that's part of the challenge for me, just to make sure that everything's right in terms of the sound. But going back to the cellar, it's that kind of isolation and quite peace and dark and cooler atmosphere that somehow brings that other dimension to the music, doesn't it?
Yeah, and not going to be disturbed. That's it.
Yeah.
This is a very special. It's like a secret society, a special group. It's not going to be disturbed.
And we can crank it up a bit. So I have got very forgiving neighbours as well, which helps. So I think we covered most of the ingredients there, haven't we, of what makes it tick. I think we go on tweaking session by session, don't we? But I think one of the visions I had for this podcast was to create a community of groups that are very similar to ours. And we're not talking about a franchise here yet, but what we could do is encourage people to kind of follow the same themes as us, and maybe some of the ingredients we've spoken about today, and see what they can come up with. And we'd kind of love to hear people's stories about their experience.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if people could know what themes we were going to work around in the future at our final nights, and that prompted them to go away and do a bit of investigation into records on the same theme as well. As you said, come let us know. Yeah, that'd be lovely. It'd be really nice because loads of people out there listen to music, aren't there, as well? The
Absolutely.
community part, although it's a very solo thing, listen to music, it's also well, like cricket, isn't it? You know, cricket's a team game played by 11 individuals. You know, listening to records is something you do on your own, but you're part of a community. It's a pretty tenuous link. I appreciate that, but yeah, that would be great if people could go and do that. It'd be really nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. So in terms of what we're doing next, we're going to talk about our sessions, aren't we? We're going to talk about what people have chosen, what we spoke about on the evening, and perhaps we'll bring along some special guests into the mix as well.
That's all to look forward to. All to look forward to, yeah, very much so. But no, this is great. Really enjoyed this. Just having a chat about Vinyl Club, and it's a lot of fun talking about music. So hopefully people want to join us and listen to future episodes that haven't been put off by this so far. So yeah, looking forward to it.
So our first session will be talking about our theme from last week, which was brass. So we'll be putting that out very soon. We've already chosen the theme for November, haven't we? Which is our next meeting, and that was chosen by myself.
Yes.
And I chose the theme of Sounds of Nature. Interpret that how you wish.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's going to be an interesting one.
Bit of a challenge, that one. But we'll look forward to seeing everybody for our discussion of brass next time round. If you've enjoyed this, thumbs up, press the subscribe button, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
See you later. Great to chat, Gary. Yeah, see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.